back to the Fertility Diaries. I'm Charly.
And I'm Portia, and each week we are here to talk all things fertility, ambition, identity, and everything in between.
We're not here as experts, we're here as two besties, living it, learning all about it, and here for the general chit-chat.
We are indeed.
So, we're back in our studio, and we're ready to dive into our weeks.
This shirt is doing me no favour.
I was just saying how much I liked it and how much I might have to get a short sleeve.
It looks so large and in charge.
Large and in charge. So how's your week been?
So I had my endocrinology appointment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to have to say, right, Charlie came with me. It's a very fun day out.
Ooh.
I've just realised, I was making the dog's breakfast this morning, and I just thought to myself, I forgot to ask what the results of the blood test were.
Oh my goodness.
So I went in and was like, hi. And he threw me off because he was like, hi, I'm Dr. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I've met you like 5 or 6 times at this point. You've been my endocrinologist since 2021.
Yeah.
So like we're homeboys, you know? Like, don't really need instructions. That threw me. And then I nearly fell off the chair when I went in as well. Because I don't know why. I sat so close. And he was like, are you okay? And I was like, oh my God. Like,
because you're so skinny now.
I know. I was like, so I've done another round of IVF. It's not worked. We're looking into autoimmune. I was like, but I just was a bit worried my thyroid was a bit low. And he went, look, we want your thyroid low when you're trying. He was like, we don't want it high, so it's fine. And I was like, okay. Then he was like, your prolactin's like really good. And like, we should probably look at reducing the medication. I was like, oh, no. Like, I don't want to reduce my medication. Quite happy with where it is. My prolactin's perfect. The reason we upped the medication last time because it was on the higher side. And he was like, yeah, but we don't want you. He was like, I don't really want you on it anymore. Like, you've been on it a while now. And apparently there's, it can cause like lung scarring and heart thickening and stuff. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm quite fit and healthy, but whatever. And then I said to Charlie before I went in, I was like, I wonder if I should mention like I've been on Manjaro, because obviously last year I took Manjaro, didn't I? So I was like, oh, I did take some Manjaro last year when I was preparing for egg collection. I was like, I'm wondering whether to do it again. Because then I was thinking, he's an endocrinologist. He might prescribe it to me for free. And I could just have a couple of months. We'll forget this plan. We know I'm at a crossroads at the minute. I don't really know what I want to do. So maybe we'll just scrap the whole thing and I'll just get skinny for summer. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like maybe I could do a couple of pens. And he was like, no. I was like, why? Why not?
Did he flat out say no?
He went, no. I was like, oh. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, well, because you're going through a lot with fertility at the minute. Like, let's not add Manjaro in. And then I wanted to say, well, what about Manjaro babies? Like, also, then when I got home, someone had written something on one of my TikToks about insulin resistance, and I was like, I should ask that.
I do think we're going to see in the future people microdosing Manjaro more and more and more.
Well, I keep seeing these microdosing for the anti-inflammatory. Like, there's a lot of chat about it in America at the minute. And I didn't mention that. I didn't ask what my blood test results were. It was very overstimulating, the whole experience.
I feel like I needed to come in with you to be like, oh, Portia, you need to ask this.
You should have done, actually. Yeah. But the lights were really bright. They'd weighed me on the weighing chair that like is just horrific. They'd taken my blood pressure, which was raised because we'd walked really quickly there because we couldn't walk slowly. And I was like all over the place. Yeah. And the lights were bright. I felt dizzy. Like, it was very overstimulating. We were trying to vlog. There were signs everywhere that were like, please don't record.
Yeah, I didn't see those signs.
So basically, I went to my endocrinology appointment. I have no idea what the results were. They're not showing on the app. And he wants to see me in 6 months. I did feel like saying, well, you said that before, and I've had to ring you after a year to get in. So I won't hold my breath. And then I was like, oh, and also I'm meant to be taking like steroids every month. And then he was like, no, I'm not doing Manjaro. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
And then I came out to Charlie and was like, he says I'm too thin.
Yeah, you said, is he doing, he said, I can't take Manjaro. I was like, that's because you're too skinny.
He said, I will slide through the floorboards and will never to be seen again. So, yeah, I thought I'd mention it. But again, I've done an absolutely crap job going in there. Crap job.
I honestly think with appointments like this, you need to take in, I would need to take in notepads.
The thing is, I wasn't going to mention Manjaro. It was a snap decision to mention it before I went in. I thought if anything, we'd be reducing my thyroid medication. He threw me with the prolactin. I wasn't expecting it. And then I was like, oh, hang on a minute. And I threw myself and I nearly fell off the chair. So, yeah. But what I will say is his secretary is incredible. So if I need a chat, I could just ring and say, do you know, just clarify something? But he seemed quite happy. And it's just that constant thing where they're like, and he's like, when you're pregnant, you stop the bromocriptine. And I'm like, oh my God, we have this discussion. We've had this discussion since 2021. Yeah. I can't wait for the day I can ring you and say, I've stopped my bromocriptine. But for now, he's asked me to, so I take a whole tablet at night and half in the morning. And he's told me to take half a tablet in the morning and half at night.
So it's not much of a reduction.
No, but that half a tablet made quite a lot of difference.
Oh, okay.
Although what I will say is, I tell you what, in the night time, if you wake up for a wee, Bromocryptine, I like have kaleidoscopic vision and I'm dizzy. Like it's a horrible, horrible tablet. That's why I take the big one at night. So it might make waking up in the night easier.
So do you wake up a lot?
No, and I like last night I drank a lot of water before bed, and Charlie was like, "Oh, well, you not need to get up and wee," and I did not.
Did you not?
No,
I woke up at 10 to 6 and I was like, I need a wee, but I was like, I'm just going to hold it in like 10 more.
I think you must have woke Steve up. Did you make a noise?
No, I didn't get up. I went straight back to sleep.
Because Steve then woke me up and I was like, oh my God, I don't have to get up yet.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that was my week.
Cool.
What about you?
I think I'm now focusing on what I'm going to do like post HYROX. I think I'm going to actually have a break from HYROX now and focus on, I'm going to really research and stuff and look into fitness for fertility.
Yeah.
And see what things I can do. Maybe reduce my high intensity interval training slightly because I do love it. So I won't stop it completely. Focus a bit more on strength training. I think I've talked about this before, but I just wanted to get the HYROX done.
Yeah.
And maybe revisit it again at the end of year, depending on what our outcome is with if we do IVF and stuff like that. So yeah, because I think I need to focus. The thing is with HYROX for me, it was very much, we've talked about this before, about control. Like I can control how much I train. I can control what I'm doing to my body and how can't actually control outcomes of races. But let's like a caveat out here, I'm not a pro athlete. I'm not like an elite HYROXer. I just do it because I enjoy it and I enjoy the adrenaline you get from doing a HYROX and completing it. But it is a lot on your body, and I think I focused so much on that because I could, and I enjoyed it. Whereas then fertility's taken kind of a bit of a step back. So I've just made the decision that I am going to just focus a bit more on fitness, fertility, eating well, and also my local coffee shop where I take Nala for a walk does matchas.
Is this new?
Yeah,
they always done it.
No, so I always get a cortado from there. That's my go-to drink. And then Tony and I had gone for a run, and then we'd ordered a coffee after our run, and this lady in the queue behind me ordered a matcha, and I was like, they're just going to say they didn't do matchas because it's kind of, they have their drinks. I would never expect them to do a matcha. And I was like, they're going to say you don't do matchas. And they're like, oh, yes, what would you like, oat milk or no? I was like, what? Excuse me, you do matchas? And I love matcha. Me and you have had...
We are matcha OGs.
Yeah. When we say OGs, not just last year, not 2 years, we were drinking them in 2013.
We discovered them, actually, in Bangkok. So we were traveling. We went backpacking. I know we spoke about this before, but we went backpacking. And we learned two things very quickly. One, we don't like backpacks. And two, we don't like sightseeing.
Yeah.
We had to, after about 3 weeks in Thailand, we had to have a bit of a rule that was like, we don't do full day trips.
Do you remember those botanical gardens?
Oh, God, literally. So we had this rule that we'd do like half day trips and that was it. But this was at the beginning of our trip, and we were in Bangkok, like literally the very, very beginning. And we were committed to going around to see all these temples, like Happy Buddha, Sitting Buddha, Laughing Buddha.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. We were flagging. Anyway, we've always been green tea fans, like just normal green tea. And when I remember we being walking around, we saw this place that said green tea matcha, and we were like, what is that? And that would have been iced, wouldn't it? It was definitely iced. It wouldn't have been hot in Bangkok.
Crushed ice.
Yeah, it was quite slushy and quite thick. And we were like, this is a bit weird. But the energy it gave, didn't it? It gave us like a second wind.
And this was before I drank coffee as well. So
yeah, I didn't drink coffee back then either. Well, I still drink decaf now. But yeah, it gave us this boost to continue around Bangkok on foot. Actually, I think we were in a tuk-tuk at that point. But and then we probably went for a massage.
we had massage daily. When we say backpacking, it was more like flashbacking.
We also, when we got to Australia, we sacked off the backpacks and brought wheelie bags. I can't do this anymore.
That was one of the best decisions I made, actually. Mine was falling apart, to be fair.
Same as mine.
Backpacking.
I packed my backpack in the new bag and took it home, and I made my mum take it back to
Did you?
Go outdoors and get a refund.
Really?
Yeah. The like poles in the back of the backpack like came through, and it was like scratching my back.
Yeah, so that's not good.
But we are matcha OGs, yeah.
Yeah, and so I then went and had the next time I went, because sometimes where I have a coffee in the morning and I don't really want a coffee, but I feel I like going for a dog walk and stopping at the cafe. The ladies there are so lovely.
Yeah.
I like having a bit of a chat and then also just having a coffee, like walking along. But sometimes I don't really fancy a coffee. And there's not really, let's be honest, like a tea. I can have a green tea at home. I'm not a tea drinker. So there's not really anything else.
I think anyone could, a cup of tea is a cup of tea wherever you have it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is
agree.
really hot. So for dog walking, it's not ideal when you're walking along. It's like walk with
I
it.
don't like the consistency out of a paper cup either.
Yeah, but it was funny because I asked them what matcha powder they used, and then she was explaining to me about the matcha, and I was like, oh no, I know,
Bob.
I know, I have matcha at home.
Yeah,
I know how to make it, but it was really good, and have it with oat milk there.
And if you don't like matcha, guys, you like we weren't drinking it for the taste, we were drinking it for the buzz.
Yeah,
you can learn to love it. It's like black coffee. I only started drinking black coffee because I thought it looked chic. And now I love it. I can't go without black coffee, but I could see people in Paris drinking it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they had like black coffee in a fag. I don't have a fag, but I just thought, I think black coffee in a fag is so chic.
Epitome of how is it like breakfast of champions?
If I could bring myself to smoke, I would be a black coffee in a fag sat on this cafe on the side of Paris.
Chic with the glasses.
And I've got my blue light blockers on, guys. These are game changing.
Yeah, we bought a pair each yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
they help it. There's a very bright light in front of us today, so it's very much helping.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm super pumped that they have matches there, and I will be. And also, I asked them for a bit of a smaller one because they do them in massive things, but it's too much milk for me. So I had it.
You've got to be cautious with a matcha. It's less because also when you get them from like Starbucks and like coffee shops and stuff, normally the iced ones, there's so much ice in them. You think you're getting a really big drink, and actually you're not. And you need to get the ratio right.
Yeah.
So I tend to put too much milk in mine at home sometimes.
I do
because I'm trying to fill the glass because I don't like ice in my drink.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, it was really cool, and I'm super happy about that. So,
good, life changing.
I know.
This week is Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week, which is the 4th to the 10th of May. So we thought to ourselves, let's talk a bit more about mental health. I know we touched on it, but then we kind of thought, actually, what we haven't touched on yet is kind of positivity and gratitude and the flip side of that, where it becomes toxic positivity. So we thought today we would talk all things mental health and manifesting.
And positivity.
Yeah.
Because we're both quite positive people, I think. I do tend to see the positives in a lot of stuff. Like I really try, if something really shit is happening, there's always a silver lining, or there's always every cloud.
We are both very like that. And we actually were talking about this yesterday about what is toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think the definition of toxic positivity, I'm a bit like, well, hang on, like I will, if something awful happens, I will try and find a positive to it because that comforts me. And I don't think that's toxic.
I disagree. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I disagree with you. No, I mean, I disagree with what some people say that toxic positivity is.
And I was watching something the other day where they were basically having a conversation, women were having a conversation about, being triggered and how, I think it was especially in relation to pregnancy that actually they don't believe that anyone can be happy for anyone else when they have like a pregnancy announcement.
We're talking about this.
When you're trying for a baby yourself. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. And I said to Charly, because we're like, we are constantly, with the dilemmas and the advice that we're giving you guys when you write in, we will always try and find a positive in it. We'll try and find the humour in it. Is that toxic? I was like, are we toxic? Are we the problem? Am I the drama? And actually, I think to say that would be to really put ourselves down, because we have done a truckload of inner work in our lives. We are both very big on self-development. We are both very big into manifesting and, The Secret and the magic and gratitude. And, there's a book called The Secret, which I'm sure everyone knows what The Secret is. If you're not read it, it is a really good book. And I think it brings a lot of hope to life. It is very like everything happens for a reason. If you can manifest anything. And don't get me wrong, we've said it before on this podcast. I'm sure there's people who'd say, well, if you can manifest anything, why have neither of you got a baby? It's not perfect, but I find comfort in sometimes thinking I can make things happen. We said the week before, that even the week before that, I think it was a few weeks ago. It's only because I've seen the TikTok clip this week. How we were saying, like, really controlling women who generally will, if they want something, will work harder to get it. When they come across having fertility issues, it's like, well, I can't, this is out of my control. And I do think that tests you. And, there'll be people out there who might be like, you're just not manifesting hard enough. You need to manifest harder and you'll have that baby. And I don't think it's as simple as that, but I do think you can, you know, your thoughts, you're having a positive vibration.
Yeah.
Do you know what I heard the other day?
Wow.
You know the song, You Can Ring My Bell?
Yeah.
They banned that from casinos because it puts people on such a high vibration.
Really?
Yeah, and if you're on a high vibration, you know, the law of attraction says that you would like manifest better things.
Every action has a reaction.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think you can just sit here and be like, I'm going to be a millionaire and £1 million will land in your bank account. I think, you know, if you've got a really good business strategy and you are working towards your goals and you have a very clear pathway of how you could get there, I do think a bit of positivity and belief will get you a hell of a long way.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with working towards it as well, isn't it? Like this, you can't just think, I need to manifest £100,000. You do have to work for it.
And there's always someone who's got a story that says they did that and it worked. I'm really funny, like we were on the way here this morning and we drove past a pink car and I was like, oh, we're gonna have a really good day today because we're just in a pink car. Like that's my thing. If I see a pink car, I'm like, I'm gonna have a really good day today. Really random, don't know why I think that. But
there's like magic numbers as well, isn't there? 1111.
Oh my god, did you ever see that meme when it's like everything's gonna be okay because I saw 1111 on the microwave? My trainers actually say 1111.
Oh
yeah, say 11 on each.
I love that.
Shoe. I don't know how big the camera is. Each shoe. But yeah, like so I really deviated then, sorry. But there's a book called The Secret. There's a book off that called The Magic. It's like a 28-day gratitude practice. We both do that.
Well, you did it first, I think, and I'd already read
I do it every year.
I do it every year. And I normally do it in February because it's a 28-day magic, 28-day process. And obviously there's 28 days in February. Yeah. And so it's good you can do it each day. And I have had, every year I've done it, something has happened from that.
Yeah, and it's a gratitude practice, guys. It's not, you know, I want £1 million. It is about being grateful for what you have while thinking about what you want. And I think you can never go wrong with being grateful and finding something to be grateful for. Do you remember that film when we were little? I mean, it's not when we were little, probably when our mums were little. Pollyanna.
No, I know what.
Oh, there's this like it's a really lovely film, and this girl, she used to play the glad game, and she'd be like, "I'm really glad for like."
They talk about that in The Magic.
Do they?
Yeah, she does talk about it.
Yeah, I've seen the film. The Pollyanna in the film is absolutely insufferable, but like, to be real. But yeah, I always listen to The Secret audiobook on flights because I fall asleep when I'm listening to it because the woman's voice, she's like Australian, it's quite soothing, and then I'm always like, oh, I'm probably in like a really good state. I listen to subliminals.
Yeah, you got me into subliminals, but I haven't.
Yeah, so that's like music. So at night it will sound like water or like. And it's actually like there's someone speaking. You've got to get your subliminals from like a reputable place because I think if you download them off YouTube, someone could be like, you know, could be very political messages, or like, you know, go and like you could be radicalized in your sleep. I don't know. But yeah, I get mine from. I'm not sure if anyone follows Francesca Amber. Law of Attraction changed my life. I love her, and she's got like a book club. And there's a guy called Mark Tweedy. And he's really good with stuff like that. So I get their subliminals because I trust them to not be radicalising me in my sleep.
You've sent me a couple of Francesca Amber's subliminals before, haven't you?
Yeah. And there's one at the moment. So Rhonda Byrne, the woman who wrote The Secret, has got a new book called Countdown to Riches. And then Francesca Amber was doing that in her book club. And I got subliminal for that. So I listen to that every night when I go to sleep. Steve doesn't mind that because obviously if you've got a partner, like, I'm not sleeping with headphones. Yeah. And this one's like water and it's one of the only ones he'll tolerate. So I'm like, oh, then we can both listen to it and get rich.
Tony quite likes a sleep story. So maybe I should listen to that one. In the evening.
There's a fertility subliminal. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not done me any fucking good. But I did listen to that for a period of time. And then I also remember really specifically listening to the success subliminal and then not getting a job I'd applied for. However, I will be honest, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. So like it's, you know, redirection, all that. And I get, you know, when you have just had something awful like a miscarriage or you're going through fertility and someone goes, everything happens for a reason, it's not that helpful. However, I do think personally I like to believe that, and it does bring me some comfort. And I wouldn't like anyone to think that we come on and be fake positive on this podcast because we have done the work. Like we are constantly, as I said, you know, we're listening to subliminals, we're reading books about gratitude, we're trying to be grateful for what we have. I remember specifically I normally do the magic in January, this 28-day practice. And when Ronnie had his, when he got paralysed, that happened mid-January and I was midway through the magic. And I have to be honest, that gave me so much like, something awful's happened, but I've got something that's reminding me I've still got stuff to be grateful for, and it means you just keep abreast of things.
It puts you into a like you're thinking it makes you think you're grateful for literally, you can think of the littlest thing.
Like fresh air.
Yeah, fresh air. Your legs. Like, if you didn't have your...
Yeah.
It makes you think, like, you wake up... Every day I wake up now at the moment, and I am thinking... I do wake up and I say thank you, because that's one of the practices, isn't it? You wake up in the day and you say thank you. And when I can, I'll be thank you. Tony gets annoyed at me because I'll be like, well, find something you're grateful for, like, when I'm doing the practice. But, I mean, I've had... When I did it, the first time I ever did it, I remember, and it's very materialistic, but I really wanted this mulberry bag, and it was like a certain amount of money, and I had some money, John Lewis vouchers. I had some John Lewis
I
vouchers.
remember this, yeah.
And I needed specifically, I think it was £185, right? This is how random it is. And I thought, I can't justify just spending £185 randomly on this bag. I really want this bag, so I saved it. And I was doing the magic at the time, and I randomly got a check through the post from Barclays, and it was, we owe you £187. And I
That's £2 for delivery.
I think it was 187, 189 something. It wasn't exactly 185, but I said to Tony, this can't, like, so that's like, I don't know, like, obviously that's really random.
Yeah.
But, like, would that have happened if I hadn't done the magic? Would it have happened? Like,
yeah.
And this was like money that was owed from a credit card that I'd had.
Yeah.
When we were traveling, or when you say, I don't know how that, obviously something must have clicked on their system during that time. I don't know how it's happened. And
there's that feeling, it's just that feeling, I think, there's something bigger out there, whether that's God, the universe, like whoever you believe in, some kind of higher power.
Yeah.
I like to believe that it's out there.
Yeah.
It brings me comfort in my journey anyway.
It brings me comfort. And even if it's just a way of justifying things sometimes. So the fact that I stayed in Chamonix an extra year because my friends Hannah and Dom were going to be there. If Hannah and Dom hadn't come out, Chamonix, I wouldn't have stayed in Chamonix. I would have gone back and worked on the yachts. I wouldn't have met Tony.
Well, if you hadn't gone to Marbella, I wouldn't have met Steve.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, like, it's all these things, and maybe it's just
that's like sliding doors, butterfly effect kind of vibes as well, isn't it?
But I do like to go back and like that sort of stuff.
Always been like this. Like, I remember my mum gave me The Secret to read. I remember where I read it in Dubai, which I actually think is like a really high vibe place to read that book. When we were like, we'd actually just. It's actually funny because that would have been. I'd have read The Secret after we'd been traveling, maybe.
I think I read it after traveling.
When actual fact, when we were traveling every single day, we did our peaks and pitfalls of the day, didn't we?
Yeah, we had. But did you get that from the Kardashians?
I don't know.
I think it was your idea, or did we come up with it together? I don't
know. Maybe it was a Kodak. Actually, I think you might be right. So every night before we went to bed.
That's so lovely.
And bear in mind, there was like at one point like 12 of us when we went backpacking. So we obviously all in different rooms all the time. But every night, whoever we were sharing a room with, me or Charlie, we had to go, right, what are our peak of the day? And then we'd also say what our pitfall of the day was, which would, so you'd be able to say something that shit that happened in the day, but you'd be able to then put positive spin on like what went really well. And we did that every night for like 6 months. And
I do that. This is on running joke with me and all the other friends as well. They're like, oh, Charlie's going to do a peak and pitfalls.
Yeah.
So like when we've gone on a trip with different friends, we'll be like, oh, so what are your peak and pitfalls?
Why did we do the pitfall?
I don't really know. I think it was from somewhere.
It's quite often the pitfalls were quite funny, like something would have gone. And sometimes if you don't have a pitfall, then you should be even more grateful.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a nice way to.
Remember that time in Bali when we all sat around the table and we had to say what we liked about each other. We'd had a bad day. I remember being really worried because I'd had to like renew my professional registration. I wasn't there and it was all a bit like hectic. And I think we'd had a bit of a dodgy day with some, I don't know what happened, but we basically all decided at dinner to go around the table.
Was that when there was 12 of us as well?
There was a lot of us.
Yeah.
And we all had to say one thing we liked about each other. And then one of our friends, we won't name, was like, it has to be about personality because otherwise whenever I played this game before, everyone says I've got nice hair. We love you if you're listening. Yeah. And we were like, okay, so you weren't allowed to say anything about their appearance, you had to say something about their personality. Yeah. And we went around and we played that. We were such like angelic, like what wholesome girls.
I know. But it just made everyone feel so much like so.
It was lovely.
I think we even said like, oh, we feel so much better now.
We did joke at the end that maybe we should go around the table and say everything we hate about each other as well.
A pitfall.
Yeah. Here's your peak and here's your pitfall.
That's character building, isn't it? It's good to have constructive feedback.
But like, I do kind of think to myself, maybe it's because of the environment we've been in. We have a very positive group of friends. But like, what? Like a group of girls who've gone backpacking. We were what, 23? In fact, I must have read The Secret before then. I think I'd read it way before then. I don't know. But yeah, like I read it in 2010 actually. Yeah, that's when I went to Dubai, 2010. So we, like, what kind of group of girls are like 20, sat in Bali, going around the table being like, let's tell each other everything about each other, guys. Like, we have been raised, and we've got very positive parents. Like, my mum's very like, you know, you could tell her the worst thing in the world and she'll bring a positive out of it. Like, we've been raised that way as well.
Yeah, I think it actually does come from how you're being raised, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, being grateful for how you've grown up and so yeah.
There's always something to be grateful for. And that's why I think when you're on a fertility journey, I do think personally for me, it's more important than ever to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Because it can be quite, you know, you can really spiral, and we all do it. You know, I'm not trying to say I'm positive every day of the week. Obviously I'm not, but I do always try and think, okay, like, as you say, you've got to get up and you've got to keep going. You can't just wallow in it.
You can't wallow. And like, this goes back to surrounding yourself with other positive people as well.
Yeah.
As soon as someone's negative, I mean, we've done events where we've had like a bride for the Soul Fries has been really negative. And it's like, how can you're married? You're married today. You've had a lovely day, and all she was doing complaining. And I know people are like that. I know there's obviously other things going on, but she just said that was in the wrong place. Like, this was this was that, and I was like,
that's such a shame.
Married. I said,
do you think that comes from stress? Because we've all been there, where you're like, you're on one and nothing, everything will annoy you.
I don't know, on my wedding day I was in a proper high. I was like, woohoo.
Yeah.
I was loving it.
Especially if you've got around you as well, because you've got people like, and you again though, that probably comes from, you're like, we've done what we can do. Yeah. There's no point stressing. Like, what is the point in stressing on your wedding day? Just enjoy it.
It was my wedding day though, so I did have a black folder of...
Yeah, but like maybe there you go, preparation, guys. Yeah. But also not to with, you know, some people do have mental health struggles and, you know, may need to, you know, further support for their mental health. But I just think it's a good starting point to think what you are grateful for. And everyone has something to be grateful for. You know, there are people living in literal war zones at the minute. But I do think it can quite easily flip to the toxic side. Maybe without, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like, even when we talk about things like, you know, people say, just relax. And we went on holiday and we got pregnant. And it's the same kind of thing, isn't it? Of that, like,
good vibes only.
You know, sometimes you know, if you manifest, you will have a baby. And then it's like, oh, so you're telling me I don't want it enough because I'm not manifesting hard enough. And like,
well, that's the thing, how hard you manifest. Like, I told, like, when we first went through IVF, I bought a little like baby grow with the Soul Fries thing on, and I hung it up in my office where I was working. And I thought,
intentional purpose.
And I thought this will be it. Like, I'll have this, and I can like announce how to do announcement stuff. And then I don't actually know where it is now.
That's where it went wrong.
I think I was like, probably time to put it away. But, you know, you can, but like, I'm not down about that. I'm not thinking, oh, I haven't manifested hard enough. Like, you don't think like that, do you?
No.
You just...
No. Yeah. You can't. And I just think it's such a big range of emotions with fertility. And it changes day by day, month by month, week by week, year by year. The time goes quick, goes slow 1 minute, then before you know it, it's been years. And you just, I think, you know, it's nothing you're doing. You know, you haven't not wanted it enough. You haven't, your body's not let you down. And don't, you know, just because you've listened to someone who was like, here's how I manifested my twins. Here's how I manifested my twin girls. You know, we've all seen it, and you see that and think, oh, she manifested it. What am I doing wrong? Nothing. You're not doing anything wrong. And, you know, not everything happens for a reason if you don't want to believe that. No. And it's fine to believe what you believe. But I think you can always find a positive in a situation, and it's good to do that. But I think also just feel your emotions and surround yourself with people who will be there for you no matter what. You don't want to be surrounded by... I do wonder if I can be slightly... I mean, let's use yesterday's example, right? So this is a pre-record, by the way, guys. So Tony had his sperm results, right? I wasn't willing to be like, oh, Charlie, that's shit. But at no point did I actually stop to acknowledge. I actually only asked you how you were feeling this morning.
I'm very good at compartmentalizing, though. This is how I deal with a lot of stuff. So
whereas I was like, no, I think And I jumped straight into solution mood
yeah.
and was like, right, so it's not that bad. Is that a bit toxic?
Well, I don't know. I found it quite helpful. You actually...
Thanks. Am I toxic?
I think I needed that like advice, really. But I was quite...
But is it a bit much for some people? I wonder, but maybe it's because I know that you'll take it. But like, and also Tony was kind of on that vibe. And I was like, I want to be on this vibe. We're all on this vibe that there's actually loads more we can do. It's actually not that bad, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But some people might need a moment to sit in those feelings. And that's when I think being aware as a friend or someone supporting someone going through infertility, that actually what you think might be helpful might not necessarily be the most helpful thing.
And that goes back to like the listening, isn't it? Like you're there for them to listen. Let me know what I can do for you and help. And then that's up to the other person to tell you. But I could have said to you, no, Portia, no, I don't want to talk about that. I don't need this right now. But actually I found it useful. And I wrote down the list of like the next step stuff.
You also, when I'm there, like basically crawling over you to put the phone on loudspeaker to involve myself.
But actually, in actual fact, it's probably good because the new people doesn't come in. Like I'm very much like an active learner. I need to have stuff written down. I need to read it. When people are telling me stuff, I don't always take it in.
Yeah.
So I need to actually, and to be fair, I will go. When we go home, I will chat to Tony and we'll talk about it properly. And
without me,
I'll probably ring Tony. I'll be like, should we ring Portia? What did Portia say?
I'm like the sunshine out of Teletubbies, but beaming down. Hello, everything will be okay. Coming from the guy who also has no kids. Maybe we're just wildly unhinged and we're toxic to each other.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Who knows? But I just think, you know, going back to this thing that I listened to the other day where they were kind of saying they didn't really feel like anyone could ever be happy. I
disagree with that,
yeah.
I just think I look for the positive.
Your life is not someone else's life. You can still be happy for someone else whilst not being, what is that thing? We clap for others until it's our turn. Like, very much a big believer in that because also, imagine it being the other way around, you'd be mortified if someone wasn't happy.
I'd want someone. I look for those positive stories and those positive outcomes.
Yeah, I find that really gives me hope.
And I want to be happy for them and it to work and stuff. I like that rather than, So I think, like for now, if you told me you're pregnant, I would probably be happier for you. I was
really upset yesterday when Tony didn't get the news we were hoping for.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
It's just different. But it's a rate. You've got to be in touch with your emotions and it's okay to have a range of emotions. Like you've already said, you don't have to be positive all the time.
No.
That's absolutely fine.
But I do think it can be helpful to try and find something good.
Yeah. And by doing that, you can find the small things that you're grateful for.
Yeah. But if you are surrounded by people who can be a bit overbearing in their positive ways or a bit toxic positivity, like, oh my God, go to this podcast because she manifested twin girls. There was a podcast out there about somebody manifested twin girls and she did, and good for her.
Yeah.
And we're here for it and we love it. And I only wish I could do that. Maybe I'm not doing it right, who knows? But, or maybe it is just a part. I do sometimes think, no one wants to hear everything happens for a reason. Part of me, with my recent transfer failing, I do, I think maybe it's because we did the podcast, but part of me is like, God, we would have never been exposed to these opportunities or even gone down this road had it worked. And maybe, maybe my life path is to be able to do some good somewhere and, I don't know.
Meant for bigger things.
Maybe. And maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the thing is, none of us have a crystal ball. Yeah. None of us have a crystal ball. And it'll only be on our, unfortunately, without being morbid AF, on our deathbeds, we'll look back and maybe things will make sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
No one really asked the person who's taken their last breath if they're looking back and it's making sense.
And that's why we'll be on our deathbed and we'll be like, oh, I worked too much. I did this.
Well, this, like, again, what was it? Maybe reading something the other day and they were saying about like, it was quite morbid. It's like you come into this world on your own and you leave it on your own and they're the only two things guaranteed in this life. And actually,
that's so true.
Do you want a life of what ifs? Like, take the chance. Like, what's the worst that will happen?
Yeah.
Leave the job you don't like. Go leave the relationship you don't like. Like, everything.
Yeah. Take that risk.
Yeah. And if you learn, like, if it's a mistake, you learn from it. And there will always be something else out there. And I just think with fertility, I do think it can strip you very quickly of your identity, of your ambition. That's why we talk about it so much, because I do think it's so easy to lose parts of yourself. Like, there's been a bit of a TikTok trend recently, isn't there? When it's like, watch infertility take my sparkle away from me. And they show pictures and videos of themselves from before they were well, realistically, when they were in exactly the same situation as they are now, with no children, living their life, but they, at that time, maybe they didn't want children and weren't ready for it, versus when they're in the depths of this, you know, trying, failing, hoping, wishing, and, you know, how it's actually stripped them. And it's so easy for that to happen.
And time goes so quickly, doesn't it? And it is easy to look back. Like Tony and I often say, maybe we should have tried having children when we were living in Chamonix, but we were not ready.
No,
we're not ready then, and we've done so much more since then.
Yeah.
So,
and everyone's life path is different. Just because someone had children in their 20s doesn't mean you should have had children in your 20s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend The Secret. I think it brings comfort. I
And
just
the
like
magic.
it. And the magic. I love the magic. There's loads of different ones out there. She's got Countdown to Riches out at the minute. There's like the Power.
Yeah. There's loads
Secret
of
Changed My Life stories.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's some really stories that's like, I cured my cancer with a magic rock and stuff like that. Like, it's extreme. But for those people, that's what they believe.
It's hope, isn't it?
And I just don't think there's anything wrong. You can't, if once you've lost hope, you've lost everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And whether that's hope for a baby or hope for, you know, peace after trying, I just think, you know, and it's not to kind of undermine mental health or anything, because, you know, there's so much support out there for people who need it. But when it comes to, like, you know, when we're looking at maternal mental health and, like, you know, people who want to be mums and people who are, you know, where there's the guilt, isn't there, as well, of people who have their babies and then they have postnatal depression and things like that. And, you know, pregnancy after loss is such a big one. Your pregnancy, I just think, you know, after IVF, like, you are entitled to feel what you feel.
And you shouldn't feel bad for feeling how you feel.
No, and I really, there's a couple of bits, I've seen this week, of people who are like, oh, you know, maybe people who really struggle to see pregnant women and didn't like being, you know, seeing anyone pregnant or seeing anyone with babies. And they get this guilt when they become pregnant that that's them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think you can't be responsible for other people's emotions, and you shouldn't have to carry that guilt. And again, please see yourselves as a symbol of hope rather than something to be
and horrified. If you're, and if you are struggling going through fertility, honestly, I can't recommend counselling enough.
Yeah.
I'm really
there's so much support out there. Please do go and seek it. And you're not in it on your own. Like, there's so many people who feel this way. But let's just try and find something.
Yeah. Maybe we should do our gratitudes for today.
I'm grateful that you're here. I love when Charly stays.
I'm grateful that I can't copy the same one.
She's not grateful for me, basically.
I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for you for letting me stay
in your prison bed.
I really enjoyed that bed. Actually, really good night's sleep.
My dad called it a prison bed. It
was cozy.
Cool. So, Between the Lines this week is an interesting one. And we thought we'd touch, we're a few weeks late to the party, but the Northern Ireland update on their miscarriage policy. So the Northern Ireland is the first region of the UK to introduce mandatory paid leave for miscarriage, allowing employees up to 2 weeks of paid leave following pregnancy loss before 24 weeks. And they don't need any medical evidence, and it's for both partners.
Oh, wow. So both partners, I didn't realise.
Yeah, which I think is really important, because also, like, I just think there is a bit of a thing of, like, no one thinks about the men in a miscarriage. I certainly don't, right? And I'm going to be brutally honest with this. There's been a few people I've seen recently have miscarriages, and I've not once thought about their partners. I'm like that poor woman.
Do you know, actually, I don't think I ever.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, until, because they're going through it too. They're mourning just because they haven't had it in their body.
Yeah, because the woman will be experiencing the bleeding and all the horrible symptoms that go along with that, which look horrific and very extreme. However, physical is, and this is why I think it's so important to have this time off, because you're not having to worry about sick pay. Some people don't get sick pay. Do you know what I mean? It's really very varied.
Yeah.
To have this protection at a time when you are very vulnerable, you're going through things emotionally and physically, and to be able to have it together, I just think is wonderful. And I think big round of applause from Northern Ireland for recognising something so hard and bringing some, you know, taking that just another bit of stress off.
Yeah,
when that happens,
because it is a thing. You have to go back to work, put on a brave face.
How many women have miscarriages and just go back? I mean, like, look at, you know, even like Vogue and Paris Fury we were talking about the other week. Like, they didn't discuss it publicly at the time, and I'm sure you know, they probably just went and got Vogue works, especially, like, she's on every podcast, TV show, like, she's everywhere. I doubt any of us would have had any clue. And, you know, I know so many women who've had miscarriages and just go to work, you know,
carry on their day.
Yeah, you know, especially when they're, sometimes even when they're early. and I'm like, no, like you should have the time to heal. You shouldn't have to
rush back
into it. Yeah, I completely agree, because it's just horrific. And I think especially, like, I feel when you built up in your head that you've seen those positive lines, and the minute that happens, I imagine you start imagining your life. I mean, you know, just from an embryo transfer, I started imagining what our life would be like. Never mind actually getting to the stage of seeing positive pregnancy test. So I just think that's incredible. And yeah, we haven't touched on it yet, but we thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, well done, Northern Ireland.
Really, really positive. I mean, I've got a dilemma.
Ooh, what's the dilemma?
Okay. I came across your TikTok a few days ago. Thank you. And already watched all of your videos. Make sure you're watching on YouTube and listening.
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube.
It really resonated with me and made me feel understood. Oh, sorry, but that just actually means the world. Thank you so
really
much.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's literally what we're here to do. I had my implant removed 5 years ago, and my husband and I started having unprotected sex with an if it happens mindset. Healthy. Should say that was me. Deep down, we both wanted it to happen, but we didn't want to put pressure on it as we were focused on buying a house and getting married. We got married in 2025 and decided to start actively trying. We brought ovulation kits and began tracking. This is where the fun stops. They brought ovulation kits and began tracking everything properly, as we have already been having unprotected sex for years without any pregnancies or scares. Between 2024 and 2025, I repeatedly went to my GP because I felt something wasn't right with my cycle, but I didn't feel taken seriously due to my age. I'm 26 and have been with my husband since I was 15. Wow. So don't understand why age should come into GP's views. Okay. After 8 months of tracking everything, we decided to go for private fertility testing. My husband's results were all fine, but I was diagnosed with PCOS. We are now on our 4th cycle of letrozole. Gradually, so that's to what do you call it? Start like a simulate ovulation, isn't it? So for PCOS, you sometimes don't ovulate regularly, so letrozole will make sure you like release that egg. Gradually increasing the dose as it hasn't worked so far. It's been emotionally draining, and having to time intercourse every other day from day 6 to day 18 of my cycle feels overwhelming. Wow. It has started to feel more like a routine or a chore, and I feel like we've lost the spontaneity and enjoyment of our sex life. I've done the sexy outfits. Woo! I've tried not telling him, so the pressure isn't there. Yeah, we've all been there. But it's still a lot. Any tips? Oh, that's heavy.
That's heavy because you've kind of already tried like the sexy outfits. And really, I think
it's heavy because I just know what.
Well, I've been there as well. Yeah. We've been there. And actually the only way we resolved that was we completely took the pressure off, and we stopped trying. Like we focused.
But this person, she's on letrozole, isn't she? So, yeah. So I'm guessing they've probably given you about 6 months if you're already on month 4.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's still not working though. Maybe you just need to again, and if it's putting that much pressure on, maybe it's time for some more tests.
Yeah. Yeah, further testing.
Yeah.
And because we don't know, has he had any tests?
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine. Okay.
I think there's no way around this because you're going to have to do it. And the minute you feel you have to do it, you're like, it is a chore. You might as well write it on a to-do list and tick it off.
Yeah. Schedule it in.
You've either got to accept that it's a chore that you have to do, much like emptying the dishwasher, and just do it, which again, for a man, sometimes not that easy. But I would make sure that outside of that window, you're not then like, right, we've done it now for this month. Let's just relax. I would be that's when the sexy outfits come out.
And maybe because obviously there's times between the ovulation and your period, you can have sex and not focus on
and before the ovulation.
Yeah, exactly. So then,
maybe not should be on a period, but yeah.
I mean, if you
I think that's the way to do it. Is almost have the fun outside of that window. Have you tried one of those I feel like we're talking about insemination kits a lot lately, but I'm fascinated by them. Have you tried one of those kits? And maybe then just literally say, right, let's use this kit, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Kit time.
And then have the sexy time after you've done the kits and you don't have the pressure of that.
And also, like, if you have to do it every other day, if you miss a day, and what? Don't get me wrong, I've cried in the toilet because I'm like, we haven't done it. It's been like it was going to make all the difference. I mean, if like 6 years ago, me, see me now, she wouldn't be asked.
Well, even this week for me, like, I mean, obviously there's very, very slim chance that Andy and I would get pregnant naturally, but I'm sort of ovulating and I'm away. I was like, oh well.
Yeah. And every other day is gold standard. If you miss a day or, you actually decide let's do it twice in one day, then do that.
Yeah.
And just try and make it, like, I think you've either got to say this is a chore, we need to get it done, or you say loosen up a bit and like, you know, we're trying this letrozole. If that doesn't work, we'll look at what might be causing, like why aren't I ovulating, like maybe some insulin resistancy type stuff, further investigations. You know, I'm not sure, like if you've not got any other children, like you're probably going to be eligible for at least one round of IVF. Obviously we don't want to go down that route, but you know, have you looked at like your nutrition and everything else, like you know, the bigger picture. Don't put all your focus on having to have sex, because it will push you apart.
Also, we mentioned last week about carving out that time to not have fertility. I imagine you're probably quite focused on fertility and the sex and all this stuff. So maybe it makes that time to make a baby. But maybe carve that time out where you don't think about that and you don't talk about that, and you have that time for you and your partner.
Yes.
And just make a rule about it not being about that just for a couple of days, you know?
I also think this is a man thing. It's not, you're not the problem here, because you're the one trying to spice it up. Men hate feeling like they have to do it on demand. I think that they like being also maybe he likes to be in control. Like let him say to him, right, this is the window, this month's your turn, you decide. If you want a baby, you decide what we're doing here. Let me know.
Maybe give him the
play hard to get. Manipulate him, gaslight him. Reverse engineer it so that he comes begging. But I think it is a really challenging one. But also, you're really, I don't want to sound condescending, you're really young.
It's time.
I know you've been together a really long time, but we know why it's not happened in all that time, because you're not ovulating. So we can work on why you're not ovulating next. We're trying the letrozole. If letrozole doesn't work, we go on to different tests and you take the pressure off.
Release the pressure. Release.
It's like a mantra at this point. That would be my recommendation. So there's a few different things there, but I think, it'll happen when it happens.
Everything happens for a reason. Good vibes only.
Good vibes only. Just keep going. You've got this. No, I think you've got, you know, go have a...
You've got time on your side. That's what
And PCOS is just not, you know, there's so many other factors. Lifestyle plays a huge part. You know, look at your supplements. You're taking the right supplements and things like that.
Like the diet, nutrition, exercise, like what you did there. There's so much you can help.
And so take the pressure off sex. If you don't have sex every other day, it's not the end of the world. And take ovulation strips, then you'll know. Well, if you're taking letrozole, like you're hoping to, if you'll know, then if you're not getting any lines on it, then there's probably no point. Would be my thought as well. Because if you're not ovulating, all that sex you're having is for no reason. So maybe start taking.
Unless you're enjoying it. Of course.
Definitely.
Lovely.
This week, I think there's only one thing we can close the page on, and that is toxic positivity. So if you are in a position where you are going through any kind of fertility, anything in life really, and you might be feeling guilt, shame, sadness, like your body's failing you.
Failure.
Failure is a big one. Imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
If you know, maybe you've got pregnancy or something. It's okay to feel all of those things, and we don't need to mask them. And I think don't let anyone tell you that, you know, you haven't wanted it enough, you've not manifested hard enough, that you're not worthy of it, that, you know, you've done something that means, you know, maybe I don't want kids enough, and that's why we've not been successful. You're a bit of a bad one for that.
I put block. I don't know if it's a blocker, you know, like
blockers.
I think I don't know, like certain things
like a mental block.
And I think not that I'd be worthy enough still, good enough to be a mum, but I think is there space in my life for a baby? And then I think is that stopping me from moving forward? Or there's loads of other things. We won't go into a therapy session, but there's loads of other things that you deep dive in, and like, is that stopping me from having children or wanting to have children? That's quite...
When we moved into our house, because they always say, don't they, if you read The Secret, it's like, if you want to manifest a partner, clear out half your wardrobe and leave space for them to move in. When we moved into our house, we had a spare bedroom. I said, see if that'll be in the nursery, because it's next to our actually Charlie's room. Charlie's in the nursery. Don't really.
You did get rid of you didn't have a spare room.
You did, so that's a dressing room now, but we had that room because it's next to our bedroom. I was like, that will be the nursery. And, you know, you can't clear space more than that, can you? No. To invite new energy in. It didn't come. No. So again, it's, you know, you just because you did all that and it didn't work, don't beat yourself up. And you can't start suddenly making these wild moves that don't feel aligned with what you would be doing anyway. You kind of got to still keep living your life.
Keep moving on.
And don't let anyone toxically come at you positively. You're allowed to feel what you're feeling, but
You can feel a range of emotions
Yeah.
all at one time, and it's absolutely fine. You can feel what you want to feel.
like it doesn't mean I didn't manifest hard enough.
Yeah.
I even
Make-
wore a maternity dress once. Actually, I've worn it without being
Really?
pregnant. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I
it's
was so convinced when I started trying. I was like, well, I'll be pregnant next month.
Yeah.
So like, let's go.
Well, it's like that baby grow that I bought.
Yeah.
And I hung it up, and then I was like, this is
That's
how-
so the secret would also tell you to do that 'cause it's a symbolic gesture.
Yeah. Well, it's a vision boards, isn't it? You have, loads of different things you can do.
Wait, baby's been on the vision board. Like they're going to fucking.
Do you know what I actually did once? There was an app that you can get. I think you probably still get it now. You can get a picture of your partner and you, and then you like put them together, and it shows you what your baby's going
Do
to
you
look
remember we
like.
used to do that at uni with people we didn't like? Yeah.
Anyway, I printed my baby off and put it on my vision board of me and Tony. Yes, probably with the baby.
You can do that with
grow.
ChatGPT now. So there you go.
Oh yeah, maybe I wonder what it would look like. Do a range of like a 3-year-old.
I've done it with Steve before.
Have you?
Yeah, but it gave us 2 babies and well, they looked very different.
Oh,
Yeah, one was really miserable. I was like, "See, that's you."
that's your one. Well,
The happy smiling one is me. The toxically positive one is me.
Okay, should we finish with a positive affirmation?
Yeah, give us a positive
Okay. Joy and hope can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
Which we've kind of like discussed.
Yeah,
haven't we,
you
and
can
talked
still
about.
experience joy in the. What is that Harry Potter quote? Light can be found in the
good.
darkest of places or something. Something can be found in the darkest of places if you turn on the light.
Yeah.
What's
Oh.
I butchered that.
Yeah, but we get the gist.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's lovely. That's a lovely way to end.
Yeah. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. All of the things that really help
Yeah.
us out so that we
Share
can bring you
us.
more.
Yeah, share the pod as well. If you're listening on your dog walk, we love a selfie, tag us.
Yeah, let us know where you're listening. We do love that.
We're nosy.
Very nosy. Nosy Nora's.
Right.
Nosy Nora's toxic positive polys.
Oh,
That's probably where positive poly comes from, Pollyanna.
yeah. Positive Polly, yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
That's a
Let's
really
all go and everyone go and write a list of 10 things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.